Good evening, gentlemen. On the screen
Evening.
here. I'm gonna put this document in your mailbox afterwards. It's something Jennifer worked on.
I think you guys have it.
Oh, did you send the revised to everybody?
I didn't send the revised, but it's not
Not
much
that much
different except
okay.
that I,
So I don't see the revised.
I fixed a bunch of stuff, but it was,
This is not revised. I don't think you sent us the revised.
This
this
is,
is the revised.
she
No,
sent,
because it still says 2025, 24.
No,
Like
it
things-
shouldn't.
Spring. March
No,
2020.
Fall 24.
It
And
should
then,
say 25.
no, fall 24, and then March 25th,
I think she
No,
sent
it
page
says
2,
24, guys.
page 2.
page 2.
It says spring, March
Yeah.
24.
Wait, let me look.
I mean, we can just,
Yeah, let's just correct it as we go. I've got it right here pulled up. I can fix it. No, I meant fall 24.
Yeah, no, it's pretty obvious, yeah.
No, March 25.
Yeah, it's correct here. Phase 2.
Are we on?
Yes,
Yep.
so
Okay.
I want to let Jen take over in
Oh.
more ways than one. This is the next 2 months of budget hearings. I'm wondering if you're willing to you're not a chair of anything.
I'm just a mouthpiece. I'm just the one that's gonna get clobbered.
No, that's not the idea.
Oh, this one. I see what you're saying. I got it.
And it wouldn't be, just be for these 2 months to just run things because, BEA needs a lot. I don't know if you've seen the schedule online.
No.
It's a lot. I'm not trying to shirk the work.
Where is the schedule?
It was supposed to be posted. If not, I will make sure it's posted.
It's
It
posted on
didn't
the,
start yet. It starts tomorrow. Right. And I plan on zooming it for you, Dominic.
wait,
But
so it's gonna be posted on the website?
it should be. I'm gonna say it's there now.
So what are you asking me to do, Tom, exactly?
Be the chair of this for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's on the website. It's all listed on the calendar.
And so what meetings am I attending then?
This is the September meeting. Actually, it's just October, November. It's less about the meetings and about arranging all the stuff that needs to be arranged and then, to deal with T2 and all that.
Okay,
It's not even necessarily about it might be one meeting, but it's mainly about you communicating and
with T2 about
everything.
budgetary
Everything,
stuff.
yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
just,
Great.
Because suddenly, now there's a BE, but now it turns out for the assemblage project.
If I may interject really quickly, I think the owl is set up a little too high. All we're seeing are boxes and portraits of people long
Yeah.
dead.
Too high or too, why does that happen?
I think it's the eye should be at eye level of you guys, like the little
Yeah,
bubble
no,
on
I
the
get
top.
What should we do?
Squish it.
Just
Make it
lower it
lower.
like a foot and a half or so.
Yeah.
Never mess with its height.
I think the heights you set it that high when you're
Yeah.
above in your little
In your perch.
in
Timber.
your perch there, but since you're at the eye level now.
I'm not sure how to lower this. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
Right
go.
there.
it's good now.
One by
Do you want help?
Jennifer.
This is probably expensive.
Don't want to hurt the owl. How's that?
Is that better?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's showing Dominic, so I don't know if it's better.
Dominic, you look good.
If I don't talk, I'm not looking at me.
I'm not in there. It's good.
So what's happened in the past week or so is that Jennifer has worked on a document to try to get, create a work plan for the entire parking project. And by the entire parking project, we're just talking about the future of kiosks replacing eventually meters in the city of Hudson. As I said to Nicole in my email, this is the first stage of what we're trying to do. What every project that we ever do has consequences that you can't anticipate. So we're not sure if it'll have things we have to then remedy afterwards. I mean, because there will be not only kiosks on Lower Warren, but then there's going to be that project that goes in at 10-12, which will also create more parking down that area.
What do you, 10-12?
And nothing,
That,
I mean, 11,
11,
11, I keep-
Yeah.
at 11, I mean, not 10. Well, and 10-12, because 10-12 wants to be a hotel. And I don't know if they have any on-site parking either. So there will be some more parking that will certainly flow over to Union probably and the side streets. I doubt it during the day it'll go all the way to Allen, because that's, who knows?
So I have something to recommend
Sure.
as a way to alleviate the problem. I think Lower Union and maybe Lower Allen may need to become one way, and parking in both sides, which can help with the traffic. It can also help with extra parking for the people, for residents.
Okay, both things, I'll just tell you the history of both ideas. Parking on both sides has always been, and it's in the parking study that we should be doing. The one impediment is,
Fire trucks?
no,
Wow.
the scheduling by the DPW to do the street sweeping. That's what alternate side's all about. I don't know if I want to say too much in public about that, other than that. Jane
I think we
Trombley,
can work that out.
okay, you can start with a, with a letter to Rob about it. It makes no
I
sense
want to understand.
why it has to be every other night.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the actual schedule, it's not every other night. I'm sure Nicole knows,
I think since I've been here for 22 years.
Never
I've
been
seen
every
it twice, cleaning.
yeah. So it's a big question. It has to be done, but does it have to be every other night going back and forth? I'm not sure if that's a problem that Rob has said is about scheduling, but I'm not sure how. I mean, I remember last time this came up, Jane Trombley was trying to do something about it, because she lives in the hot spot, so to speak.
Yeah.
She's on that southern side of Allen Street, which has a lot of, or I should say, has very little off-street parking.
Okay.
And she sort of struggled with it and with Rob.
Okay,
And-
so, yeah, but
Okay, so that's one thing. So it's worth looking at again and again until we get a real
I
accelerator.
think what we need to do is talk to the council members of the first ward, Barry and Margaret.
Oh, one's here.
Mhm.
Yes, and they need to see what the residents of that area want, if they will be happy with that. We can't just arbitrarily go and do this without checking with them. First, I'd like to confirm that they are okay with it, and if that's something that they feel will help.
Would have less alternate side?
To have
One-way
to have
street.
one way.
Oh, the one-way
The
thing. That
one
should be,
way, yes. First, I think they should check with the residents of that area, their constituents. And then we'll approach DPW, because I understand they need to sweep, but maybe it can be on that particular street that we're having so much problem with traffic and parking, to just have less, less
Vicky,
of the street.
what about your other idea about parking and bringing back an old law that maybe we should not have gotten rid of?
Oh, you mean the parking requirements?
Mhm.
Okay, so then that's a different topic, is,
So it's-
I spoke to planning board and they sent us a letter about having developers have parking requirements. And I'm not talking, we have to be realistic, not to have, just a certain percentage of parking. I'm not talking for a lot, just a certain percentage. And I think
Let's
that,
deal with one at a time. The one way, I mean, I see both sides of the one way. I don't see how one way helps alleviate the parking now.
if you can park on both sides. If you can have certain days that
You can still park on both sides going both ways.
But you have to keep moving the cars.
Yeah, so in other words, you're still talking about alternate side parking. You're not talking about.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but but one way also will help with the amount of traffic. I mean, people
Well, I
may
think
have
a
less parking.
lot of, there's two schools of thought. One is it will alleviate, but it also creates a necessary slowdown, having the two-way,
Yes.
because people have to go slowly to get by each other. I mean, no, there's some spots where it gets really hard.
It requires actually empty parking spaces in order to
Mm.
get around
Sometimes, yeah.
sometimes. So I don't,
I just don't know what the people want
It's
out
just,
there.
that's true too. It's worth finding out what people, if they want one way. But, think about it. It's,
I think, Tom,
yes, go, please.
yeah, I think fire department have problem too about like if there is a one way. Long time ago, the fire department said there's going to be problem if there is a one way. Something I forgot, but fire department mentioned something.
fire department,
If it was one way.
yeah.
Well, we'll look into that.
Like, what is the problem?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to.
That's what I
They-
forgot. What?
Sometimes
We
they
did
would have
talk
to go
about
the
it.
wrong.
Oh, right.
We have one-way streets around the.
I know, I
mean, so that
understand.
exists in all the streets we have. It can't, there shouldn't be one way.
And the one way, I mean, the two-way is only really a problem south of Third, or what, not south, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
west of Third.
Yes.
It's not really a problem on Union.
No,
North of
no,
Drive,
remember,
because that's nice and wide. It's really wide.
I feel this is something, I don't know, maybe there should be a parking study, but that area needs attention, especially now because the restaurants down there, they're doing so well. It's hard to, I mean, everybody's parking around there.
Mhm.
Pool League night at Half Moon, really great restaurants.
Yes, Amtrak.
None of them have
People
parking.
parking there, they don't want to pay, and then we're also gonna have 11 Warren.
Wait, don't want to pay what?
They don't
That's
wanna
not
pay
at night,
for it.
that's not at night anyway. So
Well, some people park, but,
There's not been real strong evidence that those are people who aren't paying for the Amtrak lot parking over there. And there's this, you can't leave your car there,
we also the events, we had all these events, that's. people-
And we have Riverfront.
You think once the bridge opens up, the walkway bridge, they can park at the, especially for
on the other side,
Half Moon,
Yeah.
they'll park right down by the waterfront and then walk over the bridge.
possible.
That was something that I wrote in
Yes.
this document, which
Margaret
was,
just called me and wants me to put her on speaker.
okay.
Yeah.
I cannot unmute myself. I don't know what's going on with Teams. The issue that you're discussing, I have discussed, a poll, Shar has written in about this. And I had, looked into it. One consideration, and I go around to take a look at the situation. The issue with the last block of Union and the last block of, Allen Street
Mhm.
is that actually the proximity to the Amtrak station, depending on where you park in our fifth lot, is actually closer to the park, to the Amtrak from our lot. And so with this change in what's going on in our lot, people are going to be parking on that street, they're seeing police parking, leaving their cars overnight, avoiding using the lot and avoiding the payment. One possible solution is, it's not uncommon in small towns with railways in the middle of an urban area to have blocked off in certain streets, so it's resident parking only. which would prevent, that would alleviate the problem of people using those streets that are close to the station for free parking as opposed to using the lot. And if we were to do parking permits for car registered addresses, on the last block of Union, the last block of Allen is in worse shape actually than Union. But if we just did resident parkings for those two blocks, that would, I think, address some of the problems.
Well,
Margaret, I wrote a 10-page document.
oh, she
She thinks that we should do permitted parking for residents on Union and Allen on the end of the street. Hold on. So, the last block of the street. So, but I don't know that that's going to alleviate anything when you have three amazing businesses there that all of their people park on the street on those two blocks every night, probably not during the day, but during the nighttime. And those people don't have parking lots. They don't have anything. So
Which business are they talking about?
I'm talking about Half Moon. I'm talking about, so every time they have a
Kitties.
function,
Kitties and farmers.
Kitties,
Farmers.
Farmer and Sons. There's also, Kitties, when they have events, they do have a parking lot, but it's gravel and it's not very many parking spots. Ben also owns all of Cross Street now,
Right.
except for one building. I feel like that's a situation too that is forcing cars onto those streets. As you know, I used the Amtrak for 10 years going back and forth to work. It was minimal at that time. I think things have changed. Gary, what were you going to say?
So one of the
I'm
things.
not-
My name is Steve, I didn't know you quite a bit.
Sure, of course.
And when you commuting as a day person, the Amtrak block itself, particularly I used to get catching by a Friday train. I always park in the Amtrak block on the street. But the problem is that you can't, for people who are going to be down in the city for a couple of days, the park and leave their cars on the base between first and front on both of them.
But it's illegal after one night.
I mean, maybe if we needed it and they gave the residents permits, there would be no advantage to somebody choosing to use those streets as opposed to our lot.
Metering it.
Yeah, that might be a better solution, because
And then gave the people who are residents on those two blocks permits to park there. There would be no financial advantage to somebody going down to the city for 2 or 3 days to park on those streets rather than going up the road.
okay, Margaret, the problem is, I mean, if we had a meter or a kiosk system where we exempt the people who live there, we might get away with that. My understanding though, is you can't just make a neighborhood,
But then we have to do the same for
You have to
everyone.
do it.
It's gonna create,
Exactly.
it's gonna create a mess.
right?
Not if the neighborhood wants them.
You can't separate a neighborhood for, permits. It's a very difficult process, and if you look at, it also involves state approval.
They tried that by the hospital a while ago too.
Yeah, it was done a number of years ago. They were trying to alleviate parking around the hospital, and it was shot down because you can't do it apparently by state law. So, but I'm not, that's all secondhand, so I don't know if that's actually accurate. So it's worth, if you want to look into it, it'd be great.
So,
If the villages in town from my family, the train stations are right in the middle of where people are living. But what they do is they block off certain streets and say, the ones that are right close to the station, they only allow residents to park there. They don't allow people who are going to the train station park there. So I
Interesting.
don't know if there's some way that we can do that.
Mhm.
But that would, I think, really alleviate the problem for the people on those two roads.
Definitely worth looking into.
Gary.
Yeah, Gary?
Yeah, first off, the one way would increase, although there's overnight issues there. I think just from a safety standpoint, that should be looked at, the making Union, even above Third. You're coming from Fourth down Third,
It's a mess.
you're hoping for those fire hydrants to be able to, when you have oncoming traffic. That's just a separate issue in terms of one way.
Huh?
But all it's doing, I think, is just kicking the can down the road. You spoke of Warren Street. It's a real issue with the railroad parking on Allen and Union. That's only going to continue. People are going to move over to Columbia. We're going to continue to push cars. We're seeing it now on the 100 block because people are coming down. Employees at Sabonis are parking there all day long. And so people who live there aren't able to park in front of their house, okay? But oftentimes we're not even able to park on the same block.
Is that during the day or night?
At night sometimes. During the day, it's hit or miss kind of thing, because the employees are working.
Right.
We need a Warren Street, and I'm in favor of that, because I think we do have to look at residential parking beyond Warren Street, because people are gonna move down, okay, and they're gonna continue. We've seen that, below Third Street, it's always packed on the 300 block. So I think you need to look at it on a comprehensive basis, and I understand, we'll tackle it and we'll overcome the obstacles as they emerge. But we know there's going to be overflow from the railroad. We know there's going to be overflow from Warren Street. So, and we want, I think as a city, we want to give preference to the residents who are living.
Sure.
Yes, exactly. So I feel that this meeting, we've been talking about how to increase the revenues of the parking. But now I feel another branch of our meeting should be how to make our residents' life easier in parking. And one way, I think the lower Union and Allen will be getting complaints that the council members of that ward, I would like them an input of what people want. They want meters. They would want one way. I don't know exactly what it is. To ask to talk to DPW, maybe having less trips there or whatever it is. The other part I really feel, the second part I really think our committee should push is the parking requirements from the developers, that we have to reinstate part of that and bring it to the legal, where I'm not saying we're gonna just discourage developers to invest in our city. We want that, but we have to have an X amount, let's just say 30%, whatever it is, where they are just, at least they're giving us some parking space. And the third thing, I'm sorry, the third thing, what I feel,
Margaret.
does the wait to, Margaret, wait a second.
We're meeting on the team thing.
Okay.
And this is just brainstorming. I'm going to be done. And the last part, after we finish into bringing parking requirements in our city, is creating, enlarging the municipal parking space. Hopefully, maybe putting one more level. We need we need extra parking. I mean, we can talk about ways and putting kiosks and this and that, but we don't have enough. We don't have parking garages.
But I've never, the idea of creating a parking garage is a great idea, and it's clearly at some point in our future, but we got to think about, it's extremely expensive.
Oh,
Yes.
$40,000 per
I-
spot.
26,000, what I read, but anyway,
Per spot?
who's kidding? Yeah, who's messing around here? I totally agree with you. I think we absolutely need to ask developers to what the minimum parking rules are generally is per every 1,000 square feet for parking spots. So if they don't want to do that, then they can help to fund. We can start a general
Exactly.
fund.
Community host agreement.
Yes.
For a parking garage.
For a parking garage. If they cannot create a space, I mean, for example, we have a developer building on 4th Street. there's no, or Warren, there's nothing there. There's nobody. You cannot create, you cannot create a space where there is no space. So what we need to do, at least, have a fund, as you said, where they contribute, and then eventually we have a parking garage, which will help them, will help us.
One of the things that we could do immediately is to take that gravel parking lot that's between Ferry Street and the Boat Club, pave it, mark it, so that there's more parking for events,
I
for
think that
all
would
of the
be-
things that are
Definitely,
happening
yeah.
down there.
That'll solve a lot of, especially since we're gonna basically take away the parking on Rick's
Yeah.
Point. People have to walk a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still.
But at least
it'll be-
it's parking.
It'll be easier parking.
There's
than-
parking.
I think we
Problem
should
is the
push
gravel.
this as soon as possible,
Yeah.
actually, for the next year's events.
Well, we can't do anything until they finish the bridge, because they're using it
Well,
as,
it'll be done.
State-
I think next
State-
year
The bridge
Yeah.
is done.
yeah, no, that's, you wanted to speak.
I just wanted to say, like, I just wanted to represent,
Can you tell us who you are?
I'm Brittany Diana, I'm a lower
Are
ward.
you Diana G?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so I'm like breathing into the void. I just wanted to kind of represent in the room, like, there really are truly some of us who do live on Warren Street.
Mhm.
And obviously, the issue of parking is like a multifaceted animal that has like a whole bunch of complexities, which is what you guys are running into. And nobody, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, like, I don't want to be like creating more of it, but I also don't want the whole thing dumped on top of me like an avalanche. And so, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware, as you're talking about like Allen Street and all the people who are kind of like further downstream, is like, we're also upstream and we don't want to bother, but we don't want to have like a horrible life going forward where everybody's doing a musical chairs.
Do you have off-street parking for you?
We have some, but not enough. Yeah.
Are
So-
you in a multi-unit building?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. And sometimes other people park in it as well, but even just amongst ourselves, we just don't have enough. And I can just visualize with all the pressure, all the other pressures that are gonna be coming into that.
Yeah, a lot happening.
There's going to be a tremendous need because
It's
of
gonna
11
change a
Warren.
lot in the next few years, yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, just wanted to kind of like, just be a
Do you
person.
feel- Currently, at night, the street, you're in the 100 block, right? It's pretty, what's it,
She's below the 100 block.
the first block. So what's it like after 5 down there? Not much, right?
It's been like the summer has been like more, I guess because there's a lot more happening down there and like there's also construction happening and stuff like that. It seems like the pressure has gotten more. There's also like constant people in the evenings going, this is like after hours, so this
Mhm,
is
that's
like
right, yeah.
after parking, but because everybody goes to the waterfront, so some people walk down, but some people just drive down, do their thing and then come back out. So there's just like churn. And then, yeah, like during, I don't know, there's just people coming and going like at all different hours of the.
So when do you find it most difficult personally to park on Warren?
I mean, I would say this is a non-issue, like certainly Sundays are terrible, but that's also because there's a church situation.
right.
Oh,
So I don't think that's not gonna, I mean, there are times when it's like, I don't know, it's kind of touch and go, I guess I would say. I know it's always on Sunday because of that. But sometimes like in the early evening, like as it gets into like later in the day, and I also kind of go searching for shade. So I like to have shade. Yeah, so it's not like full on packed at most times of the week. But I can imagine
But it's gonna get worse.
it can
Yeah.
get that way where
it's
you're
gonna get
like,
much worse.
I'm not really, yeah, but what time do I want to wake up in the morning and have to start running around and moving my car? You know what I mean? So then you start to make choices that are like, when does my neighbor get home? Like, I'm gonna do this, and then they're forced to deal with that, and then they have to get up. And so it just ends up like dominating your life because it's like, who can get into the space so that they won't have to deal with it 8 hours later?
Hey, it's like Brooklyn, only affordable. No, that's what
Hey,
that's a joke.
Hey, Tom.
Where?
I lived with like situations in Los Angeles, which were like,
Worse?
yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
Do people
So-
use the chamber parking lot at all?
What's that?
Do they use the chamber parking lot at all?
I don't think you can.
Uh,
I don't know.
Yeah, people does it.
know what happens back there. Yeah, I don't.
Dewan, did you say something?
Yeah,
Yeah, I noticed that like a lot of visitors when they come in and they knows like there's no parking fee meter or anything downtown, like Warren Street. Most of them park over there and they walk uptown and leave their car over there for a long time. Also,
At the chamber?
also I noticed, I mean, people like comes noontime and live there at night, like, all day they spend time in whatever they goes, but the car is there in downtown, like, First Street from the Second to Front Street.
I didn't totally hear that. So people are using some of those,
I think it's saying that they're using the Chamber of Commerce parking lot
like in the overnight.
overnight, yeah. They probably have to be out by 9. Well, you would know, Gary, since Gary also works there.
First off, it's the city's parking.
Right.
It's not the chamber.
Oh, really?
And I'm not sure about
That's good to
overnight.
know.
I'm not sure about overnight parking. I wouldn't park there overnight. Just saying.
Interesting. Wow, that's a.
No,
Oh,
people
that-
people park there at Chamber of Commerce sometime.
Another spot for meters.
Right.
Do you know how many spots are there, Gary?
I mean, at least 30.
They're not long, though.
Yeah, no,
They're not long.
I thought the one side was long,
Yeah.
no?
There's
Maybe.
maybe 15
Oh.
parking.
This could solve some problems.
Because, that was one of the things the parking study pointed out, is that a lot of the city availability isn't well signed. Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you had a sign at the chamber saying overnight parking here, city parking, boom,
That would be great.
that would help you. maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be really good. Okay. All right.
well, we've mentioned that before, how signage is,
Minimal.
gonna be a big part of everything we do. Just in
So,
terms of announcing the new system and everything, right?
do you want me to put together a sign package?
That would be awesome.
I will do that.
All right.
That's my wheelhouse. I can design things.
I would see the chamber because they open at 9, maybe they have to be at a certain time.
Yeah, you put that on the sign, but, overnight parking from whatever till 9.
Or we figure out how many people actually work at the Chamber of Commerce, give them signage that says, this is for
Chamber
Chamber
park,
of Commerce.
Right.
And then the rest of it is municipal, just the way that the youth department,
So you have 4 in the office there?
Well, you have a number of boards. You have CDC there.
Right.
And so, you can accommodate them because they can take up a lot of spaces. And then a lot of tourists park there,
Yeah,
and they go to Promenade Hill.
all right.
Families are
Gary,
going in there.
They get their
what if we
pamphlets.
made it a municipal parking lot, the way that, the one at 315 Warren is,
Mhm.
where the youth department parks? We do the same thing at Chamber of Commerce, so that it's an everybody parking lot, but there's certain spaces that are reserved. Can you,
That would work, although take into account, do you want to have the various other associations like the CDC having to pay?
Who's the CDD?
The economic group, you show up all the time.
Oh, HDC.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Oh, sorry, okay.
they can pay,
They only meet once a month.
yeah.
they're much more often.
Oh, yeah, they like their secret meetings.
Once a week.
They have an executive committee.
But, yeah, I mean, it's owned by the city and,
Right.
I mean, it should
Right.
be treated as any other
Yep.
municipal.
That's
parking lot.
great. So I'll add that to the list.
well, at least anyone can park overnight.
Yeah,
Now
Yeah,
we're
that's the main-
finding
right.
that that's the most
that's a
important.
Right.
problem. Okay.
Right.
So
Okay.
did anybody actually read this?
Dewan,
Brownie, did you read the thing that I sent you guys? Dominic,
Yes.
did you read it?
No, I couldn't read it. I couldn't read, had the chance to read it yet, but I will. So.
Okay. Well, I put in here our reasons for phasing out parking permits, and explained that we were losing over $250,000 a year, and that we wanted to streamline parking, and that we had oversold permits. So in many cases, when people were trying to find a reserved parking spot, they were getting ticketed, which became a kind of a nightmare for Tracy. Yeah, and then we went into, I explained, what the parking rates were at the Rensselaer Rail Station and what they are at Poughkeepsie. So at Rensselaer, they have a garage, which they charge $14 a day and $70 a week, and they don't give you another option. That's it. You pay by the week or the day. They also have a surface parking lot that is $8 a day and $50 a week. There is no other option. Their surface parking is about $2,600 a year. So Poughkeepsie is much cheaper, but I also wanted to point out that Metro North is there. And so they receive both federal and state money, and we get nothing. We get zero. And Poughkeepsie is also less densely populated and does not have the parking needs that we do. So my thinking around this was that we should probably decide sooner than later what the pricing is going to be for that long-term parking lot on South Front. And I think that we should start there with our phase one.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you look in your email, you can see what I've suggested for pricing, and it's on par with the Rensselaer station.
When I first read it, I thought this creates the problem that we used to have, but it doesn't, because of the new situation.
Text to pay?
The text to pay will make it, you can't claim you have people are forging those.
I know,
animals.
they're forging permits,
And,
and they're
forging
forging
permits.
permits.
The ones that hang from your thing, from your mirror.
well, not everybody, I mean.
No, I didn't say everybody, but people were
A
doing it.
lot
It was
of
being
people.
done. It was surprising how many people did it. The point is with the text to pay, you can't do it. So,
It's all based on just your license plate.
right,
So you would,
so it's gonna be a permit system, but it won't involve permits. That's the key.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I like it.
I like that.
So they could,
Dewan approves.
I approve, yes. Goes
They
with the
could
license plate.
pay, they could pay daily, they could pay weekly, they could pay monthly, or I'm suggesting for that lot alone, they could pay 3 months at a time, so they pay quarterly. And so if they were paying quarterly, they get a bigger discount, and that's $650 a quarter, and that equals $2,600, which is what you would pay at Rensselaer.
So no more forging of permits?
No more.
There goes my side hustle.
I bet you did that in college. And then I suggested that maybe phase two be kiosks on Warren between First and Third. We can see how the system is working.
So those kiosks will be in spring,
Yes,
right? They're
I
not gonna
mean-
be before the end of the year.
no, I think that
That's good.
when I reached out to Rob about all of this, just asking general questions, he said he had some time in November, so maybe November is the time that we could do the South Front Street lot, and then,
Yeah, before the snow flies.
yes, and then,
Yeah.
for, he said also March he had time. So March,
Be
we could
nice if-
start phase 2.
Yeah.
And, I'll reach back out to him. So that would be between first and third. We need to find out who has heated sidewalks. So, maybe we put flyers in people's mailboxes and ask them to contact us if they have a heated sidewalk. We need pricing for seniors and people with disability that is lower than what everyone else would pay. So I would ask you guys to be thinking about that and maybe shoot me some numbers, what that would look like. I also said that I think pricing for phase 2 should stay at 50 cents. There are fees associated with the credit card usage, so it's.
50 cents for what, an hour?
Yes, that's what it is
Right
now.
No, I know that's now, but the
So-
whole idea was to make it.
Right, hold on. I want to finish. That way we don't push parkers up the hill.
Right.
So if we keep everything at 50 cents until we implement phase 3, which would be the rest of Warren, then I think we're safe from pushing cars around because people want to save 50 cents.
Right, you want to incentivize them to stay there for a minute.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
There is a network fee of 11 cents. There's also a credit card fee of 27 cents, but you can also pay cash at the kiosk. So if you want to avoid the fees, you can do that. And then
Cash, change, and dollar bills?
I think so.
Yeah.
When they had
They
the,
brought it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dollar bills too, right? I thought it was, okay.
yeah, I think so.
Because, people, one of the people thinks is like, they just can't get quarters after time.
Right.
Finding the quarters, yeah.
As someone who works on Warren, I'm asked multiple times a day.
You got change?
Yeah.
They're having signs there on one street saying, we don't give quarters.
We do, because we're nice. We also, in phase 2, would be doing, the municipal lot on Warren and the kiosk placement on Worth and Prospect. And then phase 3 would be kiosk placement in the municipal lots at 309 to 313 and 361 to 365. And what I said about that was we need new rebranded municipal lot signage. The signs that are there now are parallel to the street. They are not perpendicular. So as you're driving, you never see them, first of all. And they probably were very lovingly handmade in the 50s. And they're all falling down and coming apart.
It's these?
No, the other.
This one.
The
Oh, yeah,
wooden
no, those-
ones that are
Yeah,
all leaning.
They're all terrible.
They're actually kind of a hazard.
And that's dangerous, yeah.
So we need that, and we need, I think, QR code with a map on the sign, to lead you to other municipal lots
Yeah.
and to the long-term parking lot. Permits for municipal lots. Okay, so this is a whole new thing. I didn't know they existed until I saw one hanging from a car. And it's, do we phase these out? I don't know. There's 151 of them out there currently. We are losing a tremendous amount of money. I did some quick math before I got here. They're prorated. They're only $250 and anybody can buy them.
You can use them unlimited time.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
well,
I
that's gonna-
think
That's definitely gonna change.
we've
Um,
got to change that.
What is this, a permit you can use anywhere in the city?
Municipal
Not at the end.
lots only.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay,
No,
not at the end.
Not-
only municipal parking.
Okay.
There's also permits that are given free of charge to county employees,
I don't know why we do that.
and they,
Definitely not gonna do that.
Why, but I thought that, two things, that I thought with the pocketbook factory and others, I thought that the goal was, and I thought one of the plans was, that they were gonna be buying these permits for the parking. I thought that was part of the.
Oh,
plan.
yeah, you're right.
Right? So how is that gonna,
I don't understand that. I didn't hear that.
so
When-
yeah,
What it is.
That's part of when they went, when,
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they're gonna buy the permit.
excuse me, the agreement was they would commit to buying a certain amount of permits in the
Right.
lot that eventually is established on North Seventh Street.
mhm.
But it would, I mean, I don't know if it'd have to be
What
permits,
is-
they could have designated spots.
What is the lot on North Seventh
Nothing
Street?
right now. It's just-
No, but I mean, what is it supposed to be? Do we own that land?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Right now, they have a section of it.
We're renting it.
They're renting a little section of it to do their staging for
to
the
put
project.
the,
And then it's big and empty on the other side.
okay,
One of the things in the original agreement was that they're willing to pay for making that a lot.
okay.
And also Columbia Street, I thought there was part of Columbia Street, they were supposed to do some for that, and then walk over the municipal on Columbia Street, behind City Hall.
They were? Oh, what do you mean, get permits for that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're gonna provide
Okay.
transportation support.
Oh, okay. I
A
didn't
van
remember
or
that part.
something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we'll have to figure that in somehow.
Okay.
You're talking about the one in the corner of Seventh and.
Did you raise your hand, Lloyd? Yes, Lloyd?
This third son, third or fourth sons, third or fourth son.
Okay.
How many, so I'm just confused, because I live right across from that building that they just put up,
Yeah.
4 stories. And someone told me that was gonna have 70 parking spots.
No,
That's not true.
no.
70
So
apartments.
what's
70
happening-
apartments.
What's happening with, and then someone else told me that all the parking spots there was parking spots for every apartment.
No.
I wish there were.
So how's that gonna work?
Who's been telling you this? No, okay.
I don't know, I'm a little behind on this, I don't, you know.
They have a parking spot, with, I think, 30 spots, and that's down by the firehouse. On that one.
It's down by the firehouse.
They have a lot, the lots we're describing, there's a building and a lot to the left of that, if you're looking north, to the left of that, and that's owned by them, and they're gonna demolish there and build a
So
lot.
it's north of where they are,
Correct.
in that corner.
There's some on their spot, on their site, but not a lot. What is it, like 8?
Yeah, if that,
Something like
I
that.
think it's
Because
80.
I know I'm right there on State between Sixth and Seventh, and I know that fills up with the Thai
Sorry,
restaurant.
but I have to go.
Oh. I think.
And I'm just wondering what's gonna happen once, you know, that apartment building's done.
Well, I guess you're gonna have to move.
You know, that might be desirable.
Just kidding, okay?
So that was all approved without
Yeah.
appropriate parking.
Yeah. I mean, I don't recall the details of each agreement, but yeah,
Well,
And-
this brings us back to
correct, so the requirement.
development
Mhm.
and
Yes, and,
having parking minimums.
and also realizing, well, there might be more development in that area, so we do have to think about it.
Yeah.
And the parking study does tell us, every so often, we should be reevaluating, that's why the planning board is right to commission a study each time, because it has to incorporate what's happened since the parking study, because there's so much going on, there's so many developments. Each one.
And, yeah,
But you have to trust these studies when they say the streets can support it. I mean, these are people who have to, have reputations as engineers.
Yeah, but they're
They're not gonna fake
yeah,
it.
right.
Well, that's why I think that
You
maybe,
can pay an engineer to have certain thoughts.
Yeah, they're connected.
But
But
they'll
bring
lose
it
the
back.
credibility.
well, bringing back to parking, that also then might bolster the community host agreement for that parking.
Well, I mean, if they don't have to provide
Exactly.
spaces.
Right, they contribute to a fund to help us build.
This
parking
second
lot.
story.
Right.
Which could be an amazing thing, by the way.
Right.
Which would be
If
great.
you see in the parking study, when he talks about the possibility, it's obviously would be back here.
Right,
'cause
Well,
that's
you
the
could
best
do
one.
back here, or we could sell this building and be a JL Edwards and then build the parking garage at
so,
the long-term parking, where long-term parking is at Amtrak. And have a little EV bus, the trolley that goes up and down.
Yeah, but
taking
I
people
think
back
it
and
makes
forth.
more sense here, just because of the central location to service.
well,
everything.
the city,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
But-
Make it walkable, you park there.
It's all- I like that you phase this, that we're still back. in
We're
phase
still
one.
what?
We're still in phase one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
but yeah, we gotta keep
But
all these things. to
talking
ourselves.
about it
Yeah,
and keeping all of
yes.
these things at front of mind is
Yes.
really important.
Absolutely.
We need to talk about, and maybe you can fill in budget for me, especially if you're gonna make me chair. Help me with this budget. That's last page,
Oh, I didn't-
page
okay.
10.
Let's see if we got.
So initial project money,
We put aside 400.
okay,
I think our first, what was it, 140? The 3-2?
Yeah.
140, like 140. And then, of course, the yearly things.
that was for what we've got so far. I think it's $1,000 a year for
Yeah.
the warranty of
Okay.
each kiosk. But I want to go back and make sure, Chris,
Okay. And then we have to figure out the credit card fees.
what did you say?
We don't pay this, the enforcement staff doesn't come out of any of this money.
That comes out of the general fund,
I believe.
no?
Does
Well, it goes with the parking, right?
Yeah, it goes, there's a parking bureau, it's. Kim has called the parking bureau, believe it or not,
I know,
yeah, no, I don't mean to you, I mean.
yeah,
I'll have to look at the budget because we're starting tomorrow, so I'll figure it out.
okay. Phase 1, 2, phase 1 and 2, what have we done so far as
Well,
the
phase
cost
one,
of hardware and software?
phase one is 140. We don't have an estimate yet for what, 2 and 3, I don't think, but I'll check.
Okay, but we could probably base that on what we've already done. Or just a ballpark based on what we've already done. Okay,
Now, the bureau chief salary, that's, we're talking now what, as that half job we talked about to begin with, or a full-time job down the road?
I think full-time, just like, think about what that would be. Is there a way, the gentleman that came in and talked to us, or
Kevin Wood.
was online talking to us, I think in June, he had some really great ideas. Could he be our consultant and maybe the person that kind of is the in-between between our full-time person and some,
He would like to be. The
okay,
only problem is, I don't think he likes what we're doing.
oh,
Because he was just like, just put QR codes everywhere. And which is what he's done on a couple jobs, and.
I don't know if that's a great
don't
idea,
think it's
because
a great
QR codes can be,
I don't use QR codes, I don't have a phone. What am I gonna do?
Move?
Again, that's because I roll. Oh,
Sorry, Red.
you won't
I don't
need
know why it
it
sticks in my
for-
head.
you won't need the QR code for what we're doing.
Yeah,
You
no,
can
we're
pay
not
in
gonna do
cash.
it. We'll always have a cash opportunity at this point, I think.
But I think sometimes, unless we're being really careful, sometimes people can sticker over QR codes and send you to
Right.
other
That's
places
the
and
thing,
steal
right,
your money.
exactly.
So it's
I'll
kind
talk to
of
him.
hard.
Actually, I'll have,
What was his name?
Kevin Wood.
Kevin?
Yeah, we can get on a call together with him. Okay, I'll arrange that.
Kevin
Wood,
Wood, that's right.
and I'll find out what kind of money he's looking for too.
Yeah, that's him.
But he writes me an email every week, pretty much, well, every other week.
So should it, should it job start part-time first because until the revenue comes in,
Isn't that
right?
what you were saying?
Well, I was thinking he could be a consultant
Right.
until we figure out,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not even call him.
Staff.
Yeah.
consultant.
Right.
And then we hire someone
Mhm.
that he can kind of loop in and
Mhm.
work with. Obviously, we need to involve the DPW sooner than later, especially if we want something done by November.
Yeah, I think it's important to ask T2 what they need from DPW.
Okay.
How much or how little. They might not need a lot. I mean, I think they put in the bases for the kiosks, but I'm not trying to remember.
I think it was the electric,
That's it.
and also where the solar would go. I think that's what they need to figure out is.
I have a map of that already.
Right.
Yeah.
Jennifer's already working on that.
Yeah, right.
But, and it's only on one side of the street
Right.
on Lower Warren, is where they're gonna need electrical. So maybe he doesn't even need to do anything. I'll reach out
Mhm.
again.
So, I don't know, this is a big issue, and, you know, when we actually have a proper bureau, we can start talking directly to parking enforcement, because right now, they're still under the police.
Are you also thinking about implementing like a 3-person board or something like what was recommended?
Probably have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I try to find more volunteers that don't want to volunteer, sorry.
Well, Lloyd's
I-
moving, so we can't use Lloyd.
You don't want me anyway.
I think what I meant by involving parking enforcement was just to hear what their daily
Oh,
activities are
yeah.
like and what would
We have a
be,
new guy, I just noticed.
what would be helpful to
Yeah,
them and
yeah,
what is
okay.
not helpful to them. Hi, Gary.
Good night.
I got it. Cool, that's a great idea. Maybe we should try to ask them, I mean, it's hard to get them in when they're not on duty, but maybe we'll ask if they want to stop by at our next meeting.
They probably would. I talk to them as they.
Yeah, I do.
Well, they work until 5, so.
Yeah, maybe we could just plan an earlier meeting one day.
Okay, this next category.
Thinking of the future
Yeah.
and heading off potential problems.
So we've already discussed the assemblage thing. If we cut out Rick's Point, we definitely need to pave that upper spot,
Yeah,
because it's just a mess. Because when there is a big event and people park there, it's just kind of random parking and it doesn't work efficiently at all.
but because assemblage is still in planning stages, maybe there is one little sliver that we can eke out a few more spots. I don't know, maybe we talk to Wendy.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's part of the Dunn situation too. Dunn has parking in their design, as I recall.
do they?
I think so.
Okay, I'm gonna,
But that might
Reach
change
out
if
to
the
them,
pool
too.
goes. Oh, no, maybe they can put parking where the pool originally was gonna go. Remember, do you remember the design? The
I
pool
thought it
was
was gonna be in the, what's the green space right now was gonna be the pool. I don't know.
gonna-
I don't know.
Yeah. we can
I
figure it out.
really don't.
Yeah.
So. I
Same
need
part
to-
next to Boat Club.
There is parking in that one
It
too,
sure is.
but it's a lot less, obviously, and, because they need it, they need, to be ADA compliant.
Right, the closest parking spots need to be 80.
Yeah. So there's a little there too. I don't know what's happening down with Kite's Nest and the shacks.
Yeah, well, the shack, there is that area. I think it's part of the extension of, would it be Dock Street or Mill Street? Dock Street.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's actually still a street, but there is a space between the Kite's Nest property and the Fagari property.
I thought that belonged to the state.
No, I
No?
don't think so.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure of anything ever.
Okay.
Is that a good policy? Thank you, Lloyd. But I think it is city. And that somehow Kite's Nest could leave enough space there that they could create some more parking there. They don't need a lot of parking. What they have to worry about more is drop off and pickup space.
I was just thinking about parking in general, for everything that's gonna be happening at the waterfront. And especially if I had my big dream of having a parking garage and a little EV trolley that takes everybody around, that could be one of the stops.
Well, it's interesting you said it because Randall, the planning board, thinks that the community host agreement should not be increasing a parking garage, but financing a tram system. Because they're pretty inexpensive, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I would like to do it.
Well, you know, like you're saying.
For the trolley.
Oh, a little trolley.
Little trolley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever you call it.
I'm envisioning something built above.
Oh, yeah.
Like a tray, I'm like, that'd be
No, a
exciting.
trolley, an EV trolley, you can get a really big one,
Really
like,
cute one, yeah.
like $250.
Yeah, I know.
Because Albany has them too. They use them a lot during the summertime, and it's more of a feel good, you know what I mean? People use them because
Yeah.
it's kind of a cool thing,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
they're cute.
Yeah, I can see Dominic driving around the city.
Absolutely.
I
Calling
wanna
out
be the
Baba
driver.
Booey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Dewan would be the driver.
Yeah.
Dewan,
Oh,
Yeah, he
okay,
doesn't
no
have enough
problem.
jobs
I will.
to do this.
Dewan, we need to get you a pirate, like, cap
I don't
and
have-
an eye
Okay.
patch for that.
If we get something that looks like the old Hudson trolleys, I volunteer to drive. At least once
Oh,
a
yeah,
week.
with the little bell. I remember they had the bell. They used to have
I
the
think
bell.
that would be great.
Yeah.
I used to love those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was historical.
There's, and then I just wrote in here, multiple events at the waterfront. There are some very popular restaurants, which we already mentioned on Front Street. Soon we've got 11 Warren. But I think tonight through our discussions, we've come up with a couple of really good alternative parking spots. So Chamber of Commerce, we've got maybe some near the shacks. We've got the gravel lot between Ferry and the boat club. So, yeah.
Yeah, very,
I
yeah,
think
I,
that's good.
that's worth finding out what, I'll ask Rob about that, about what it would be to pave that upper lot,
Yeah,
because it probably involves some leveling. The good thing about
Yeah.
that space is that it's not, it'll survive.
A flood.
Oh, excuse me?
It'll survive the flood.
It'll survive, the rising waters.
It's true. Oh,
Yeah,
so
so
depressing.
it really is.
That gravel's gonna go with floods.
All right.
Okay. I have to-
Okay, thank you all.
Can you guys send me what you think about pricing, please? For the,
Yeah, so you're, it's too low.
Ah.
Gotta be a buck, an hour.
Can I just ask for more questions?
Oh, sure.
sure,
So just as a takeaway, so like as somebody who's like a resident, not who's like coming there just to have dinner and then leave.
Right.
And like if I'm gonna go back and like just tell my neighbors, like, here's where things stand about this stuff that I've been talking about. So as of now, like that you're thinking, this is all on proposal, right? Because this is like a committee, so none of this has been approved. This is just kind of like a
Somehow.
direction.
some is
The kiosks.
No, but like what we're talking.
Oh, the other
about-
things, no, that's all. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's like discussion.
Yep.
That's gonna come to the meeting council
Yep.
at some point. So potentially what we're talking about is like down on Lower Warren, for the people who actually live there and will be living this every day, probably this isn't gonna get to us, or the proposal is right now that it's gonna get to us maybe in March, like it'll be a phase 2 thing. And at this point, I heard some discussion, but there were like audio issues in the beginning about like resident parking passes, something to the machines, and there was like zoning issues, which I assume would apply to Warren in the same way that it applies to. So that proposal, which was essentially what I came in with, was like, I guess this is the answer, is like, we'll get a pass, hopefully. That's like, for logistical reasons, not gonna happen. So
Well, we're
instead,
into it. I mean, I just don't know for sure.
We
might have to move.
I
No,
don't think it
no,
can happen.
no.
I will say that we have discussed and we have all agreed that people with disabilities and people who are elderly will get some kind of price reduction.
yeah,
You know, I don't know if this aspect of it, it's all done through license plates. So this is why I think we can maybe even bypass the parking permit idea.
okay,
Because if you're doing it by, you know, it would be a sticker on your car that sort of separates you from everybody else. It would just come up when they flash on your license plate, that's a resident. Now, I wonder if that's a way to, a workaround or something, I don't know.
If we've got every household with license plates, I mean, everybody that's parked on Warren, half of the people parking on Warren, I think
Yeah,
I have to talk to Adam and Joe and Jody about that, 'cause
Yeah.
they didn't mention anything
Yeah.
about it. And so if they didn't mention it, I have a feeling it's not something that can be done or that they've done.
Right.
Okay. So,
Thing
Okay,
is,
so it's-
well,
I guess
Yeah.
like, so if I was a person and I was having to live a week, these things have been installed, I'm living a week at my house, right? And like sometimes there isn't enough parking or, we're kind of like.
Chamber of Commerce?
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the options is that maybe in that same time frame that we're talking about by March, like that becomes like an extra like easement if we need more parking during the day, right? Because we can just go and park across the street instead of on the street, and it's,
Yeah, we gotta talk about that, because I'm not sure about the ins and outs of it,
Right.
but yeah,
What they need to-
that's what I'm thinking, that we turn that into a municipal lot,
Mhm.
so anybody can park there.
okay,
So-
and then is it municipal lots are free or they're not?
No,
free?
they're not
No.
free.
Okay, so we're still paying for parking, like if I'm
Yes.
working from home for 8 hours, I'm now paying for parking to stay home.
But everybody on Warren Street, Upper Warren Street, already does that
Okay,
Until 5.
until 5, and then it's free,
8 to 5 or 9 to 5?
9 to 5, and then it's free.
So really, that easement doesn't really affect me in terms of, like, it maybe affects people, like it gives them someplace to go if they're going to dinner. But it actually doesn't help residents much. I mean,
Well,
it
they're
helps
not
us if
residents,
there was like no place to park whatsoever, then you can park somewhere. But like, it doesn't help us in terms of cost at all.
No.
Because we're still need to be at our house.
But it would only be for people who work there, stay at home, and have no off-street parking.
Yeah, okay.
I
So,
know. But that's true, like Jennifer said, that's true.
Every-
All of Warren Street, all the rest of Warren
Yeah.
Street, they're already having to do that. There are plenty of, they get out, I know a number of people on like the 700 block would have to get up before 9 and move their car to a side street,
hmm.
and they go back to their apartment to work.
Okay, so I mean, the issue that I was concerned about in terms of having to go to a side street, I'm still gonna probably just go to the side street, like some amount of that time.
Yeah, probably.
It doesn't, okay,
Which is.
Stalk
the
your neighbor
huge-
when he leaves.
what's that?
Stalk the neighbor when he leaves and take his spot.
Yeah,
the side
it's like, it becomes really like, everybody's like looking to see what their secret thing is, their strategy.
Well, as long as it doesn't become violent like it does in Queens and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Where people really start fighting over these things. I shoveled that space, it's mine. Well, guess what? It's not, but.
yeah.
Could you guys please, send me your ideas about pricing for municipal lots or the long-term lot and tell me it's okay, what I've written here for
Okay.
Warren.
You got it.
And then I can revise this and put it together in a way that's more simplified, that maybe we can put it.
Thank you
it
for a
on
great
the
document. You really did a great job. Thank you.
things.
This
Look
is-
at you go.
I'm trying.
Were you listening to country music when
We're
you're?
talking about.
All right.
Are they what?
I have to leave now.
They can be. That's the thing. People don't even realize you can park in their salon overnight. There's no ticket.
Yeah, to find the park, yeah.
It's only cost you something in a municipal lot until 5, but you
9 to
can
5.
park there overnight.
Right, 9 to 5. That's the only time it costs you money. You can park overnight there. Anyone knows-
All right. Good night.
Motion to adjourn.
What?
Do you want me to,
There's a second.
Say that? Will they close it or what?
Close it.
I don't think that's true.
do you want me